Why do you keep breaking your own promises? You said you'd start. You said this time would be different, but you didn't follow through. Again, you wake up and the guilt is there, that familiar weight in your chest. Do you feel like you're behind in life, like something's slipping through your fingers? And deep down, you know the truth. It's not holding you back, it's you. It's the part of you that keeps stopping, hesitating, choosing comfort over commitment. That silent voice that whispers, just skip today, it won't matter. But it does. Every time you quit, it matters. You think you're just postponing progress, but what you're really doing is weakening the most important muscle you have, self-trust. The pain of inconsistency isn't just missing goals, it's missing who you could have become. It's waking up 6 months from now with the same regrets, the same body, the same bank account, the same chaos. That's what inconsistency steals from you, your evolution. It's not that you don't have potential. It's not that you lack talent or ideas. You have everything you need. But potential means nothing without consistency. Potential is wasted by people who never finish, and that might hurt to hear, but it's meant to, because it should hurt. You were meant for more, and somewhere along the way you stopped showing up for yourself. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow doesn't exist. It's an illusion we use to feel better about quitting today. Every time you delay, you train your mind to tolerate weakness. You teach yourself that skipping is okay, that being average is acceptable. And slowly, without even realizing it, your standards drop. You stop expecting more, you stop trying, and then you wonder why nothing's changing. But here's the truth. The results you want are not hiding behind motivation. They're hiding behind consistency. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. And that bridge must be crossed every single day, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. So if you're tired of restarting, if you're done living in cycles of hype and disappointment, this is your wake-up call. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start moving because it's time. Consistency is the ultimate weapon. It's how average people become legends. Not through sparks of inspiration, but through showing up relentlessly. Especially on the days they didn't want to. That's where the magic happens. In silence. In repetition. In the small thankless moments that no one sees. You have a choice to make. Keep living like this, stuck, unsure, inconsistent, or decide that enough is enough. Force yourself to be consistent, even when it feels unnatural, because the more you show up, the more you become. Stay with this, watch to the end. Because by the time this ends, something inside you will shift. A new standard will be set, and you'll realize you never needed more time, more motivation, or more talent. You just needed to stop breaking promises to yourself. Every time you act against your own word, part of you erodes. You chip away at your own foundation, you silence your inner power, little by little, and it starts to feel normal. Skipping becomes a habit. Quitting becomes easier, promises lose meaning, until one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize who you've become. Not because you've changed, but because you never changed. You stayed stuck. You settled. You told yourself the lie so many times that now it feels like truth. I can't stay consistent, but that voice in your head is not your truth. It's your programming, and it can be written. Not with inspiration, but with action, with proof, with evidence that says, yes, I can. Watch me. You don't need to believe it at first. Belief grows from action, not the other way around. What you need is a standard so high, so unshakable that even your weakest moments can't bring it down. That standard is built by doing it anyway. When you're tired, when you're angry, when you're bored, when you're not in the mood. That's when the real shift happens. Not when it's easy, but when it costs something. That cost is what makes it powerful. That sacrifice is what carves new identity. You are not born with consistency, you create it. One decision at a time. One moment of silence when no one is clapping. One push when everything inside you says stop. Because that's where the edge is. That's where growth begins. You can't rise while hiding from discomfort. You can't evolve while choosing what feels good over what builds strength. You think discipline is hard? Try regret. Try waking up 10 years from now wondering how much more you could have done. If you had just stayed the course. There's a part of you that's afraid of that future. And good. Use that fear. Let it fuel you. Let it remind you that time is not promised. That your dreams have an expiration date. And if you don't start forcing action now, you'll spend your life in circles, wishing, waiting, wasting. There are no shortcuts to self-respect. You earn it by doing what you said you would do. long after the emotion is gone. Because that's what separates the ones who talk from the ones who build. The ones who show up no matter what. The ones who don't need to be in the mood. They just do it. They've burned the option to quit. They've buried the comfort that held them back. They made consistency their identity. You can do that too, but you have to stop negotiating with yourself. Stop looking for easier paths. Stop waiting for perfect days. And start building the version of you who is solid, disciplined, undeniable. Not tomorrow, not next week. No. The future you want is built by the choices you force yourself to make today. So show up. Do it now. Do it again tomorrow. And don't stop. You will never feel ready. Waiting for the right mindset, the right emotion, the perfect moment, it's the most dangerous illusion. Action doesn't come after feeling ready. It creates it. The truth is, most days you won't want to do it. Most days you'll feel resistance in your chest, a weight pressing down, telling you to delay. That's when you must move anyway. That's the signal, not the stop sign. If it's uncomfortable, it means you're on the edge of growth. That edge is where transformation begins. Every time you push through it, you train your mind to obey you, not your feelings, and that is the greatest power you can build. Because once you've trained yourself to act without permission from your emotions, there's nothing that can stop you. You become your own engine, your own force. That's when change becomes permanent. Not temporary, not conditional, permanent. Most people quit because they think discomfort means something's wrong. But discomfort is the proof that you're changing. It's the fire that forges strength. You can't wish your way to greatness. You must work your way there. Every single repetition matters. Every small act done in silence counts. You may not see results today or tomorrow or next week, but every time you refuse to quit, you cast another vote for the person you're becoming. The one who doesn't skip, the one who gets up and gets it done. That person lives in you, waiting to be unleashed. Not by words, by proof, by action. You don't need more motivation. You need a deeper reason, something that matters more than your mood, something that keeps you moving when everything else says stop. Excuses feel true in the moment, but they steal everything from you. The only way to kill them is by action, not thinking about it, not planning it, doing it. Right now, that urgency you feel deep down, that pull in your chest, is not anxiety, it's your potential begging to be realized. It's the part of you that knows you were built for more. You can't ignore it forever. At some point, you either step up or step aside. You either become the example or the excuse. The choice is yours, and it starts with consistency. Show yourself what you're made of. Not for others. For you. To finally believe in your own strength. To finally prove that you're not the person who always quits. You're the one who finishes, who locks in, who refuses to go back. This is your edge. This is where the old version of you dies and the new one is born. Not by force from the outside, by force from within. You have it. You've always had it. Now it's time to act like it. No more waiting. No more waiting. No more hoping. Force consistency into your bones until it becomes who you are. That's how greatness is built, on the days you don't want to move, but you do it anyway. The path is not supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel heavy. Because every time you move under pressure, you're not just making progress. You're proving to yourself that you're no longer controlled by weakness. That's how power is earned. Not in the moments when you feel strong, but in the moments you feel nothing and act anyway. You won't always feel fire. You won't always feel momentum. But those are the exact moments that define whether you stay the same or break through. Anyone can keep going when it's fun. But it takes another level of self-respect to keep going when it's boring, when it's painful, when the results are invisible. That's when most people disappear. They retreat. They justify. They settle. Not because they're incapable, but because they never trained their mind to obey their vision. They never made consistency non-negotiable. They still let their feelings decide who they are. Discipline doesn't come from motivation. It comes from refusing to be manipulated by comfort. It comes from drawing a line in your own mind and deciding, this is who I am now. No more maybe. No more excuses. Just decisions, just standards. That's the shift that transforms you. When you stop asking how you feel and start asking what needs to be done. When you stop looking for inspiration and start showing up no matter what, that's the moment you begin building the unshakable version of yourself. The version that doesn't fold under stress. The version that shows up whether it rains or shines. That's who you've always been capable of becoming. But it requires sacrifice. The sacrifice of ease. The sacrifice of distraction. The sacrifice of your past identity. Because you can't become new while clinging to old habits. Every day the mind will offer you the easy way out. And every day you must reject it. You must remind yourself why you started. Why it matters. You must let that reason be louder than your resistance. And then move. No debate. No delay. Just action. That's how trust is built. That's how confidence becomes real. It's not about hype. It's about integrity. Keeping your word to yourself when no one's watching. That's the real battle. Not against time. Not against others. Against your lower self. The part that wants to stay small. Stay average. Stay safe. That voice will always be there. But you don't have to listen. You can replace it with a louder voice. One that says, you move anyway. One that says, this is who I am now. Consistency is not perfection. It's to build something unbreakable through daily action. You don't need more time. You don't need perfect conditions. You need to decide that this is the version of you the world will now meet. Solid. Relentless. Unstoppable. You've been waiting to feel ready, but now you move because it's time. Every goal you've ever wanted is already possible, but possibility means nothing without repetition. Consistency is what pulls distant dreams into present reality. The problem is never the goal. The problem is the delay between action and reward. People want instant results. They want progress that moves like lightning, but real change is slow. Real success is quiet. It happens in the background, underneath the surface, while you're still doubting, still unsure, still tired. And that's where most people give up. Not because they couldn't do it, but because they couldn't wait. They wanted proof before discipline, but proof only comes to those who persist. You must be willing to outlast the silence, to show up without applause. To keep going when no one is watching, when no one is cheering, when it feels like nothing is happening, because something is happening inside you. Every time you stay consistent, even when the results are invisible, you're building a mind that doesn't break. You are becoming something stronger, something rarer, not just someone who works hard, but someone who doesn't stop. And that's the trait that separates winners from watchers. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't background, it's the decision to keep building when most people pause. To see every day as an opportunity to lay another brick, even if it's a small one, even if you feel behind, even if progress feels invisible. The wall only rises when you refuse to stop stacking. But the moment you skip, the moment you compromise, you lose more than time, you lose momentum. And momentum is sacred. It is your greatest weapon. It multiplies your discipline. It reinforces your identity. It reminds you that you're already becoming, that you're not where you were yesterday. That even if it's slow, you are moving forward. Do not let emotions sabotage momentum. Emotions are temporary. Identity is forever. What you repeat, you become. So choose your repetitions wisely. Choose action over hesitation. Choose progress over perfection. Choose the long game over instant comfort. Because the long game is the only game that matters. That's how consistency wins. Not through speed, but through depth. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing something every day. It's about making your habits unbreakable. About protecting them like your future depends on it. Because it does. You don't need to feel inspired to build. You just need to move. Vigourism. To plant the seed again, to water it with effort, even when the soil looks dry, even when nothing blooms, because one day it will, one day the result will come. And it will come not because you chased it, but because you stayed the course long enough for it to arrive. And in that moment, you'll realize it was never about the outcome. It was about becoming the person who never gave up. The one who stayed consistent, the one who refused to live on maybe, the one who chose to build regardless of how they felt. That's the version of you the world is waiting for. Show up, and don't stop. The mind will do anything to protect you from discomfort. It will rationalize delay. It will create excuses that sound logical, feel true, and keep you exactly where you are. But growth does not come from logic. It comes from pressure. From choosing to act in opposition to your own resistance. That's the war you face every day, the war between comfort and purpose. And if you keep choosing comfort, you will never touch the life you were meant to live. Because consistency demands sacrifice. It asks you to let go of ease. It demands that you replace feelings with standards, That you show up when your body is tired, when your mind is noisy, when your emotions are unstable. Because it's not about how you feel, it's about who you promise to become. Every action you take becomes a vote for who you are. A vote for your values, a vote for the future you're creating. And the future doesn't care what you say you want, it only listens to what you do. The version of you who wins is not a fantasy, it's already inside. But that version is buried under inconsistency. It's trapped beneath habits you keep repeating, even though they go against everything you claim to desire. And if you don't force a shift, that version stays buried forever. The clock keeps ticking. Opportunities fade, and you're left with the pain of what could have been. But if you truly decide to no longer live like that, everything changes. Not in a day, but over days, over months. Until your word becomes law to yourself. That's how greatness is earned. That's how real transformation happens. Not through breakthroughs, through consistency, through daily war with your comfort zone, through relentless commitment to your standard. And every time you keep going, you remind yourself that you're not here to participate. You're here to dominate, to become unshakable, to force consistency until you no longer need to force it at all. The future you want is already watching how you handle today. It's being shaped by what you repeat, by what you tolerate, by the standards you enforce when no one's holding you accountable. Every time you rise instead of delay, every time you push instead of pause, you move closer to the version of you that no longer needs to be reminded. That version is calm, clear, and consistent, not because life got easier, but because discipline got stronger. You don't get there by waiting for everything to feel right. You get there by refusing to let your emotions dictate your actions. You get there by turning habits into weapons, routines into armor, and consistency into your identity. When discipline becomes your default, success becomes inevitable. Because effort is no longer optional. Action is no longer conditional. It's just who you are. This isn't about willpower. Willpower fades. This is about structure. This is about designing your days in a way that makes quitting hard and showing up automatic. You can't build greatness with random effort. You build it with systems, with boundaries, with commitment that doesn't bend every time life tests you. The test is daily. The resistance is permanent. And so must be your response. You do not lower your frequency for anything. You do not negotiate with laziness. You do not take days off from being who you said you would become. That's how most people lose. They get inspired, they start strong, and then they forget what they're fighting for. But you don't have that luxury. You've seen what inconsistency costs. You felt the weight of unfinished goals, the pain of starting over. You're not going back there, you're building something different now. When the mind tells you to rest, you move. When it screams that it's not worth it, you remind it that comfort is a liar. When doubt shows up, you outwork it. And when no one else believes in your process, you believe harder. Not because it's easy, because it's required. The road to your future doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for consistency. It asks that you get up when you fall, that you keep swinging when nothing's working, that you trust the effort even when the outcome is silent. That silence is not a sign to quit. It's the space where transformation is happening. Quiet, slow and invisible, but real. And when you stay long enough in that silence, something shifts. The discipline that once felt forced becomes effortless. The momentum that felt heavy begins to carry you. The effort that drained you begins to energize you. You're not doing this for quick wins. You're doing this to become undeniable. You're doing this so the world has no choice but to take you seriously. You're doing this because average was never your destiny. And now every action is proof. Every repetition is a message to your future. I'm coming. I'm consistent. I'm inevitable. Every excuse you make chips away at your greatness. Every time you say later, a part of you fades. A piece of your power, your momentum, your belief, dissolves into the noise of hesitation. That's how average becomes permanent. Through small delays, silent doubts, and unnoticed compromises. You don't lose the war all at once. You lose it in fragments. In the skipped workouts, the undone tasks, the promises broken in silence. And the danger is, no one will call you out for it. No one will tell you to keep going. That's why it's on you. You must be the one who notices, the one who holds the line, the one who refuses to let comfort rewrite their destiny. Because every decision, no matter how small, is either building you or breaking you. And every second you hesitate, the gap between who you are and who you could be grows wider. That gap only closes through effort, through discipline that doesn't flinch, through action that doesn't ask for validation. The world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards execution. Not plans, not potential, performance. And performance is a byproduct of repetition, of showing up on the days when most people would rather wait, of pushing forward when the outcome is still uncertain. Button, you don't become consistent by doing what's convenient. You become consistent by doing what's required regardless of how you feel. Because the life you want doesn't care how motivated you are. It only responds to how committed you are. Motivation is fleeting. Commitment is forever. You are no longer living for temporary feelings. You are living for permanent results. And those results only come when your standards stop bending to emotion. There will be days when your mind is at war with your mission. When fear screams louder than focus. When every fiber of your being wants to stop. That's when you go. That's when you override everything with action. Because action silences doubt. Movement kills fear. Discipline ends debate. And that's how you reclaim your power. Not by waiting for the fear to leave, but by moving straight through it. That's what changes you. That's what elevates you from average to exceptional. You're not here to play small. You're here to prove that you can build something that lasts. Something real, something earned. Consistency is not a tactic, it's a transformation. It's the rewiring of your identity. It's not just doing the work, it's becoming the person who never stops doing the work. That shift is worth everything, because once you become that person, success is not a matter of if, it's... Your future is already watching, waiting, measuring your discipline, respecting your grind. Every moment you stay locked in, it gets closer. Every rep, every task, every silent hour, it's all compounding. This is not just progress, this is proof that you're done quitting, that you're done delaying, and you're done delaying. That you are consistent, and because of that, you are unstoppable. You are not born to repeat the same day over and over, stuck in cycles of hesitation, buried under distractions, numbing your purpose with comfort. Deep down you know it. You know you're meant to rise, but knowing is not enough. Wanting is not enough. Potential is not enough. Only action counts. Relentless, daily, focused action. Without applause, without motivation, without guarantees. Because that is what separates the ones who talk about change from the ones who become it. You cannot live both in comfort and in greatness. You must choose, and that choice happens every single day. In silence, in struggle, in solitude. No spotlight, no crowd, just you and the moment. And the decision to keep going when it would be easier to stop. The truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one will force you to become the person you're capable of being. That burden is yours, but so is the power. You don't need permission to be disciplined. You don't need support to stay consistent. You need a reason strong enough to silence your excuses. And once you find that reason, you hold it like a weapon. You carry it into every battle with your comfort zone. You let it fuel your habits, your structure, your grind. Because without consistency, nothing grows, nothing sharpens, nothing lasts. Discipline is the only path, the only formula, the only truth that will never fail you. It will test you, but it will never fail you. Because the effort never lies, and that effort is what builds the real you. There will always be temptation to slow down, to settle, to relax once you've made a little progress. But consistency does not care about progress. It demands continuation. The moment you ease up is the moment you start the slow decline back to average. And you didn't come this far to only come this far. You didn't fight through resistance, doubt, fatigue and failure just to become comfortable again. You are not building for now. You are building for the future version of you who deserves everything you're working toward. And that version only shows up if you do. That version only lives if you keep choosing effort over ease, growth over comfort, commitment over chaos. This is how empires are built. Not through intensity once, but through discipline always. Through showing up even when no one is watching. Through mastering the little things so the big things come naturally. Through becoming the type of person who finishes everything they start, who honors every promise, who never makes decisions based on mood. That person is not far away. That person is one decision away, and that decision is always the same. Show up tired, show up uncertain, show up uncomfortable, but show up, because the one who shows up every single time wins. Every time you do, you prove that nothing can move you, and that kind of consistency is more than a skill. It's your power, it's your proof, it's your legacy. This is not about being perfect. It's about being prepared to rise every single time you're tempted to fall. It's about building an inner system so strong that nothing on the outside can shake it. The distractions will come. The setbacks will hit. The emotions will shift. But your standard must not move. You must become the one who follows through because it's your identity, not because it's convenient. That kind of consistency creates a new force inside you. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't chase permission. It acts, executes, it delivers. Not occasionally, not when it's easy, but always. That's where real confidence comes from keeping your word when no one's watching, from refusing to fold when the pressure builds, from showing up so many times that even doubt starts to believe in you. Every time you delay, you reinforce the habit of hesitation. And hesitation kills momentum, it kills belief, it kills the urgency that drives transformation. You must act before you feel ready. You must train your mind to move without debate. If you keep stopping to evaluate how tired you are, how busy you are, how discouraged you feel, you'll talk yourself out of every breakthrough you are on the verge of reaching. This journey isn't about being in the mood. It's about mastering your movements regardless of your mood, because repetition reprograms identity, and identity determines destiny. You are either reinforcing strength or strengthening weakness with every decision you make. The world rewards the ones who outlast, not the ones who start fast, not the ones who talk loud, the ones who stay in the fight long after the noise fades, the ones who keep executing long after motivation disappears. That's the level of commitment you need. One that doesn't break when things get quiet. One that doesn't bend when it's inconvenient. One that moves forward whether the world claps or not. Because the goal is not applause. The goal is self-respect. The goal is knowing you did exactly what you said you would do, even when no one else expected it. That's how you win silently. That's how you win permanently. If you ever feel lost, overwhelmed, or behind, return to the basics. Do the work. Repeat the process. Keep your routine sacred. Simplicity builds power. Complexity creates confusion. The path is not complicated. It's just difficult. And that's why it works. Because most people avoid what's difficult, but not you. You lean into it. You welcome it. You rise through it. Because now you're no longer chasing consistency. You've become it. And once you become it, you cannot be stopped. No matter how long it takes, no matter how many setbacks come, no matter how quiet the progress feels, you do not stop, because the version of you who finishes, who follows through, who fulfills the vision, is now in control. And once that version leads, the outcome is already written, unshakable, relentless, inevitable.